Matthew Bryza is a former White House Director for European Affairs. He joins us now from Porvoo in Finland. Thanks so much for speaking to us, Matthew. Tell us what you'll be watching most closely at the G20 Summit in Osaka.
Yeah, well, number one for everybody is what sort of possible way to soften the trade war between China and the United States comes out of that. President Trump has been pursuing his typical strategy of bluster and threats to the Chinese, but while also saying, well, he has a great relationship with the leader Xi Jinping. So this hardball, softball pattern needs to play itself out now, and hopefully Trump and Xi Jinping will come up with some way now to say we're going to de-escalate the trade war. So that's number one. But number two is, of course, President Trump's meeting with President Erdogan, and everybody's going to be watching to see if President Trump does what he appeared to do when he met with Berat Albayrak, the finance minister, a couple of months ago, which is suggest he might try to use some of his political clout to soften the dispute between the U.S. and Turkey on the S-400s versus the F-35.
I mean, tell us more about that. Are you expecting any real resolution here? Because the strain between the U.S. and Turkey, it's really hitting a boiling point. The purchase has been made. The Turks have bought the S-400 system. They're not pulling out. And if the chief U.S. complaint is that the S-400 in Turkey could actually compromise U.S. security somehow, why doesn't the U.S. form the commission Turkey suggested to clarify and correct, technical issues or vulnerabilities here? Send some U.S. engineers over.
Yeah, so I think the answer, your question is not just rhetorical. It's actually a great question. I posed myself when I was in Washington recently. So part of the answer is technical. Part of the answer is that senior NATO Air Force officials I've met with at the general level, not just from the U.S., but from the U.K., from Denmark, from France, they have all told me that they really do believe that if the F-35 is flying in a regular way over and over again in Turkey, there'll be so many opportunities for the S-400s to study the F-35 that the F-35 stealth capabilities will be degraded. I think a commission could address that. I think the commission, though, that would make more sense is not to study the danger, but maybe a commission to make sure that when the F-35 is flying, the radars of the S-400 in Turkey are not turned on. So that's a technical fix. So the other problem is political. Politically, too many people in Washington are mad at Turkey for too many different reasons. One is that Turkey would, from their perspective, take this unprecedented step of buying such an advanced Russian air defense system. The other is that many in Washington have just thought that Turkish democracy is off track. So what just happened with the Istanbul mayor election actually could begin to change the political climate and the expectations in Washington, put them on a more positive trajectory vis-a-vis Turkey. And if the U.S. and Turkey are working together in northern Syria under the efforts of Ambassador Jim Jeffries, that may also help to reduce the political justifications for not forming that commission we were just talking about.
Okay, Matthew, on the technical issues you were talking about, those Russian systems are also active in Syria. And now we're seeing the UK fly the F-35 fighter jets over Syrian territory. So if the UK is active in Syria, doesn't that kind of debunk the US argument that, oh, this will give the Russian systems an opportunity to investigate our aircraft if they're flying over the same territory and being used in the same territory right now?
Yeah, it's a crucial point, Andrea. When I have asked similar questions, the answer I've gotten from Air Force generals is the difference is that if the F-35 is flying in Turkey, and if the S-400s are nearby and turned on, if the radars are turned on, over time, there will be so many opportunities to study the F-35, many more than the perchance encounters that will happen in Syria of the radars with the F-35, that there will just be way more information that's transferred about the F-35. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's workable, but that certainly is something that Defense Minister Akar and the acting U.S. Defense Minister Esper will discuss.
Matthew Bryza, thank you so much for joining us as always. They're from Finland. We greatly appreciate it.